just been getting to know the audience. You've got another fabulous audience in. Is every night as good as tonight?
Actually, we've been really blessed. The houses here have been fantastic. So thank you all. We really do appreciate it. And a Monday night as well.
I know.
How many of you have got kids that gone back to school?
How many of you
Freedom!
I was going to say, how many of you are kids who've gone back to school? You're not 14, are you?
Okay. I've said to them I can't take as long as I have in the past 2 Q&As that we've done together, because I could talk forever and have you talk forever, but we've only got about 20 minutes left. So quickly, please save the applause to the end. First of all, Ian Hallard, who wrote The Way Old Friends Do, as well as is in the cast, and he is joined by Sara Crowe, Anton Tweedale, Andrew Horton, Donna Berlin, and Rose Shalloo. Now, we have some people in the audience who've actually even been to some of our previous Q&As, but I am going to repeat the one most obvious question to start with Ian. Ian, why did you... Ian has worked for many years as a very successful actor. I've seen him in so many great shows. But this was his first stage play that he wrote. Why did you want to write a play, and why this play?
It was my passion. It was the thing I was most excited about. It was a test to see if I could write a play. That was by no means definite when I started out. Did it kind of secretly, sent it to my husband to see what he thought, and if I was totally prepared if he'd read it and gone, I love you dearly, but this is awful, never show it to another human, then I would have taken that, and it would never have happened. But thankfully it didn't, and here we are.
And Ian's husband, for those who don't know, is Mark Gatiss, who also directed the production. And as I said, we did a Q&A with Mark and Ian last month, so you can watch that as well. So let me turn to the cast. I can't even read my own handwriting. Oh yes, I do remember. It was about Mark. So at the last Q&A, Mark was asked what the cast thought of him as a director, and we promised... he was asked what he thought about your wonderful cast, and so we promised that when we got you into the Q&A, we would then turn the tables. What was it like to having Mark Gatiss as a director, and also to be working with the writer who's also performing on stage with you?
We have to
He's listening.
He's listening. Rose, you're next to me.
Awful. No, really. We've had a great time. We just had a laugh. Mark's really fun. Says silly things, and we just barely laughed in rehearsals, really.
Yeah.
Not that we had many coming back to this transfer. We've had a laugh, and same with Ian. Yeah, we're silly. I've learned a lot about ABBA from Ian, the Human Glossary.
Are you going to keep the glossary?
Oh, I think we'll all get a copy at the end. Yeah. So
I can't believe quite how much detail is in this.
Ooh,
You
yes.
need to publish it. It's like a book.
super fan.
Donna, what do you think? What's been the highlight working with Ian and Mark?
Assuming there is one. That's a slightly leading question.
Okay, that was a leading question.
It's not exactly a highlight, but it's been a whole heap of fun. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've laughed so much on a job from start to finish. Sometimes at people, sometimes with people, but mostly because of people. It's been wonderful. It's been great. So lovely to do a comedy and a new comedy. God bless you, Ian. Thank you. I'm not doing a play where I'm crying my eyes out, which is, a joy. And Mark has been wonderful. It's so nice to be directed by an actor who understands how actors think, actors' insecurities, get all the acting jokes. He's been great, and we can't miss out Bob, who's been a very important member of this
Bob
cast.
is their dog, and he was in the first Q&A, and
he was,
the show.
He was,
yeah.
But yeah, so it's the three of them. They're the dream team. It's Mark, Ian, and Bob.
Right. Fantastic, Andrew.
Yeah, it's just been joyful. It's as echoing everything that Rose and Donna have just said. It's been really lovely to work on such great material provided by Ian, to have these wonderful characters to make our own and originate these characters as well. There's something really nice about that with new writing, and then Mark's just a top director, and then to have them both working together is just wonderful for us, and I'm sure it's wonderful for you as well, Ian, to get to work with your husband. I mean, maybe not. Yeah.
It's nice when he goes away, though.
And I'm going to come to you last for a reason I'll explain. Sarah, and also Sarah, 8 times your husband has been already. That's pretty good going, isn't it? He's a keeper. What has been the highlight of this journey for you so far?
Well, ditto what everyone's just said. It has been a lot of fun, and it is good working with a director who's an actor. And I've worked with Ian 5 times. I mean, and so I like to think that we are a repertory company.
He's like your on-stage husband. You've been on stage husband.
Yes. Keep it in the same building.
In the same building. And Anton, you joined the company. I explained that the show's on tour and at the park, and you've joined it for the West End run. How's it felt joining this lovely family?
Well, I was already with the company because I was understudying in the park and on tour.
Okay.
But it's been really lovely to step into the role, and also because it's quite nice because I covered both Edward and Peter, so being able to forget half the show. So that's been lovely.
It's just a shame you forgot the wrong half.
Have you ever thought about swapping the roles? Like you just it's just
Saturday matinee?
Yeah, why not? Come on. I don't think I know it anymore. Well, there are some times when I get a Pavlovian response to a cue line for Peter.
Yeah.
Like that I might hear it and then be like, oh no, it's not.
And is Ian the biggest ABBA super fan in the company?
Oh, hell yes.
I mean, despite appearances. Absolutely.
I would never do anything with Goat is actually wearing an ABBA.
But so this is my 3rd time seeing it, and I like ABBA, but I'm not a super fan. I'm edging towards that, but every time I see it, I pick up on more references and in-jokes, and I think I'm still missing a lot. Have you totted up how many there are?
We know you know when the ABBA fans are in though, because there's a few little subtle laughs in the back, little lines.
We had Tarrier, who's back there. She's our female understudy for all the female parts.
Yeah.
She's incredible. She made a playlist on Spotify, an official The Whale Friendly playlist. So all the songs in the show, but all the references as well.
Yeah.
But it took about, how many goes was it when you kept showing it to Ian and he'd be like, no, you've missed one.
Have you updated it with Agnieszka's new song? Because the front of house music is different.
Come on.
It never stops. It never stops. I have to say, Anton, when you did the dance in the Lycra, I heard the couple behind me that said, that's very, very close to the original.
Thank you very much.
So we're all going to go home and watch that on YouTube. And then,
It really isn't.
Okay, who had the hands up? Yes, here.
Okay, I saw you at the Park Theatre, and I'm going to make a big confession. I am not especially an ABBA fan, but I have loved it. I've become an ABBA fan, and I want to ask you the question, what were the challenges of staging this in the West End as against the Park Theatre? And also, it's not just about ABBA, is it? It's about friendship and the darker side of the power play that a photographer can have and all sorts of other.
This is a wide-ranging question.
Yeah, so what other issues are you trying to explore as well?
Okay, hold on just a second. And before you answer that, I want to pick up on something, which is, how flattering is that you've turned an audience member into an ABBA fan?
I've recommended my friends to go see.
That's really good.
As well, and yeah.
Yes, so challenges of bringing it into the West End Theatre, and you've played at so many different theatres now, and then we'll come to the second part.
Well, I always hoped that it would appeal to people who aren't just ABBA fans, and you're right, that's the setting, that's the kind of hook, but obviously it's not about ABBA in that way, it's about these characters and their friendships and their relationships. In terms of practical challenges, the big difference between here and the Park, of course, is the layout. In the Park, it's a thrust auditorium, so you've got audience on 3 sides, which is also how the layout when we did it at the Birmingham Rep, where we opened. All the other touring venues have been like this end on, so we had to kind of go back and forth between the two. So it was quite handy when we left Park. We could kindly just go, okay, we don't have to worry about blocking these side seats, which was always a bit of a nightmare. Because when it's a bit like three-dimensional chess when you've got 6 characters on stage in a couple of the scenes. It's like, well, I can't stand there because I'm booking so-and-so. So that was handy to be able to... But they were even in our 2 days re-rehearsal, we were still slightly getting rid of some hangovers of that old blocking. We go, oh, I don't actually have to go and stand there anymore because I can... I don't need to. But other than that, there wasn't anything particularly difficult about...
It's quite a small theatre, so it doesn't really impact in terms of projection and things like that, which sometimes you find with bigger theatres in the West End. But yeah, it's been pretty simple, all things considered. We only had a day and a half of tech, and then we were on. So
Muscle memory.
baptism by fire, but
technically, actually, it's really lovely because normally, because we're underground here, there's no flies above us, which is because normally a theatre will have a fly tower where they can fly in backdrops and stuff. But because there's no, there's nothing above. Well, there's just trains and restaurants and lily whites above here. So it's really lovely because normally, obviously, when you're projecting, some of the sound disappears up into the flies, whereas here it just all goes out to you. So that's really lovely. Yeah. And then the other part of wanting to write something about that wasn't just a silly camp comedy about men in drag and women wearing beards, and say something a bit about middle-aged men, friendship, their vulnerabilities as well, about actually how their heads can be turned by sort of manipulative photography. I haven't got some kind of some vendetta against photographers. But yeah, I think hopefully that you kind of, certainly on stage, I think we all kind of agree really that it's lovely to have the laughs, but the kind of gasps of surprise when Christian shows his true colours in that penultimate scene are almost more satisfying because you know that means an audience will actually being engaged with the story and are then surprised by it as well. So that's
Ian, you've written that the dynamic between Peter and Edward is actually inspired by a friendship in your life. Has that person been to see the show? And
he has. Well, I've had a few Edwards in my life, funnily enough. 2 of them were school friends who have both seen the show here. They haven't seen it before. Mm-hmm. One only came last week. I don't know if he knows he's he'll know if he watches this. And only the kind of sort of, it's slightly inspired by that, but then I've taken little. It's not all just. It's kind of a combination of the 3, and then other stuff as well, which isn't which isn't from any of those people. But I suppose that's what you do when you're writing and creating characters. You can take them from real life, although I don't know anyone like Mrs. Campbell.
In a previous discussion, Ian revealed that an earlier version of this didn't have Mrs. Campbell. I know. We can't imagine it.
That was when I was
we don't want to imagine it.
That was when I was trying to do everything as cheaply as possible. Like, well, cast a
I'm
5.
too expensive.
Andrew, also we discussed before that I don't think outside of Panto I've ever heard an audience boo at the curtain call so loudly. But I'm curious, so in the final scene, the other characters are discussing what they think is happened with your character. What do you think? Is Christian a sociopath?
yes.
Yeah, okay. Got that settled then.
It's a very, very simple answer. I think he would probably kill someone if he had the chance. So, yeah.
That's the sequel.
That's the sequel. Yeah.
Okay, other hands. Other hands. Or this is being all very shy. Yes, here.
Yeah, for Ian, I heard you, when your character expressed concern about new material coming out, so I wondered if you had, what your reaction was to the new material, and if you enjoyed ABBA Voyage, because I assume you've seen it.
It's amazing how many times it's asked, isn't it? It's like it's controversial, the new material.
Well, I think it's not actually intentional, that kind of comment of, oh, at least you know they're going to be disappointed by their new material. And it's only subsequently, and actually the fact that people laugh at that, I think people think I'm having a dig at the new material. And I'm really not. It was just, that was my and I think a lot of ABBA fans' attitude pre-2018 when they announced that Reunite. reunite. It was just they'd always been so adamant that it would never happen. It was just a very flippant, well, they've always said they wanted people to remember them as they were, and you don't have to worry about new material and stuff. So it isn't actually a dig. I love Voyage. It's a dream come true. I've said several times. For many years, the most any ABBA fan could hope for was we were thinking, well, maybe if we're very lucky, the four of them might agree to have a photo taken together again. And that was the limit and summit of our ambitions and hopes. So to have had all this in the last few years is extraordinary. And yeah, I've seen Voyage twice and ended up bawling my eyes out both times. And I'm intending on going again. I'm suggesting a cast outing actually, but I'm going to leave it until the show's finished a while because I think they've probably had enough ABBA for a bit.
You need to recover. Rose, and previously you were asked about how you memorized that incredible opening monologue, but I actually wanted to talk a little bit more about your character. That seems to me, from the actors I know, a lot of actors will identify with what Jodie goes through in responding to an advert in the stage. And how do you feel like presenting the kind of highs and lows of being an actor in this piece?
Well, it's quite easy to do that, isn't it, if you are an actor? Plenty of blues. It's nice that I think you hear it when there's actors in, when you start that monologue, because even like the siren, like sometimes people laugh at the siren and you're like, oh, I'm going to be okay. Some places on tour, not so many laughs. It's really nice, all those like little references and those little actor moments.
The Olivier reference.
Yeah, and that she's just a bit of a drip, bless her, isn't she?
Yeah.
But she's so keen, which I sort of love about her, and I think is lovely about her sort of sweetness throughout the piece, which she never, unlike Christian or anyone, has any bad thoughts about anyone. She just loves being there, and I sort of love that. And there are actors like that are not snobby and don't mind, as long as they're working, they don't mind what it is.
Yeah.
And I sort of love that she's like, I'm in an ABBA tribute band, I love it.
That's great.
Or the Peppa Pig live show.
And have you done Peppa Pig?
No.
Rose is a much more successful actor.
That's actually her next job.
No, it's not.
I am wondering though, any of those of you in the cast that do have an experience of having early in your career applied for something in the stage or any kind of...
God, my entire life was the stage.
Isn't that so much a thing now? It's
It's
job
not.
wise.
I'm showing my age now. It was back.
No.
It was back in the day. Every Thursday, you would rush out and get the stage. Some people who were posh had it delivered. I wasn't one of them. You'd rush out and get the stage. Hopefully, you'd get a copy, and then you'd go straight to the back. And you go, cruises, magic show. And then there'd be something for the West End and something. You go, oh, great. I mean, that's how I cut my teeth. I used to go to auditions for Experience from when I was about 14.
Oh, fantastic.
Just to be in with everybody and see what it was all about. So it didn't do me any harm.
No.
Kind of stuck it
And
out.
we love the stage. It's an institution. I'm going to clip this and send it to the editor. Okay. Any other hands? We've got a couple of minutes left. Yep, just there.
How did you guys decide on the accents that you were going to have for the production? Because obviously I can tell that.
Yeah, how did you decide on the accents? Did you have that? Did you write that into the script, Ian?
I always knew I wanted to set it in Birmingham, just because not much is, and actually the run in Birmingham, it was really lovely. I mean, obviously less so everywhere else, but all the local place names, Acox Green gets a little panto-like laugh, so it feels like quite a cheap laugh. But there we go. And also actually, and I'm very guilty of this myself, of creating a comic character, and if you have no other way of making them funny, you just give them a Brummie accent to make them sound thin. And actually, I wanted to write something where the Brummies weren't the thick ones for once, or the not thick necessarily, but eccentric kind of.
No, I'm from Essex. I really brought my Essex out in this one. I'm very high.
That was Rose trying to do a Brummie.
Actually, Jodie's the only character that doesn't have a specific regional accent, so that could be anywhere.
Why did you want to have Mrs. Campbell Scottish?
I don't know really. I mean, she just kind of came fully formed. That just the idea of her being Scottish quite amused me, because the Naomi Campbell line then came later. So I mean, because Campbell's a Scottish name.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought it would. Just the rhythms of it just seemed funny, and I don't know why Christian. I suppose Christian. There's something exotic about him being from Australia, and also because Australia has this huge history with ABBA as well, because they were massive over there. So it's kind of plausible that that old ABBA fans would pass that love on to the new
Andrew,
generation.
You're not Australian?
No.
You did it so well.
He did it so well, right?
I've watched a lot of Summer Heights High. So.
Another thing I was thinking, again inspired by Jodie, and the idea of Jodie playing Stanley Kowalski. I wonder, now that you've done gender swapping, are there any roles, classic theatre roles of the opposite gender that any of you would like to take on?
Well, I've done Panto Dame for many years. I spend more time on stage dressed as a woman than I am as a man. So I feel like I've done that.
Blanche Dubois.
You want to do Blanche?
Yeah.
Cool. I could go for that, yeah.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Andrew, any female parts? Traditional female parts you'd like to have a go at?
Lady Macbeth.
Lady Macbeth. Nice. Donna?
It's hard, isn't it?
Yes, it's really hard. I'd probably like to play the Robert Mitchum character in Cape Fear.
Ooh.
I like a baddie.
That's a great film.
Yeah.
Proper film noir. And Rose?
I've played a few little boys. Genuinely. And once in an audition, I was auditioning for Sweeney Todd, and I was singing the Joanna song, and then they were like, "Do you want to read for the boy?" Ladies and gentlemen. So maybe that's just what I naturally do anyway. But
You are perfect casting for this role, aren't you? Sarah, have you
I'm
called
still thinking.
Okay.
Sherlock Holmes.
Okay, final audience question. Who's going to be brave? Yes, there.
First of all, I think the show is absolutely brilliant and I love watching it tonight. And my question is, do you ever experience stage fright or anything when you go on stage, and especially because it's a comedy, is it kind of hard, or are you ever afraid that the jokes might not work? Or?
Ooh, nice one. Okay, so, actually, hands up, who amongst you has ever experienced stage fright?
hey, we all have at some point.
Yeah.
Ian, no?
Well, I suppose not really stage fright. I mean, I kind of a little healthy frisson of nerves, but I kind of imagine stage fright as being a sort of paralysing. Oh my God, I really don't want to do this tonight thing, and now having to push through it. I've been quite lucky. I've never had that.
And so, how do you deal with it if you are feeling nervous or having a bad day, or you? They say Dr. Theatre works its magic if you have a cold or a bug or something.
Get on and say your first line.
Get on and say your first line.
Once you've got your first line out, you're okay.
Yeah.
In my experience, anyway, it's the thinking and the worrying and the what is my first line. It's that just get on and say the first line, and then everything will fall into place.
Yeah. And Ian, is Sarah? Did you want to say something? No. Ian, is it harder? I mean, very brave to write a comedy. Do you worry at all that sometimes the jokes won't hit?
Yes, because that would be awful if no one laughed. But I mean, you can kind of gauge it, can't you? You can kind of sort of some lines, and it's a weird. I mean, it's a fascinating kind of chemical experiment. That sometimes you think you deliver a line in exactly the same way, and one night it'll get a huge laugh, and the next night it might get a titter or something. You just think, what changed? What was slightly different? Was it the inflection or something? Or if a mobile phone goes off and kills the time? But even kind of quieter houses, they still kind of get to the end and they're still kind of cheering at the end, which is lovely. But I can't take any credit for that. I just reckon if you play Dancing Queen at the end, you've got people happy. So that's a really cheap way of getting people to clap and cheer.
Quick final question. Favourite ABBA song, Sarah?
Waterloo.
Ian?
Under Attack.
My Love, My Life.
Gimme, gimme, gimme.
Does your mother know?
Waterloo as well, sorry.
Oh, very good. Okay. Well, I think we have to end it there. I told you it'd be short and sweet, but the show continues here until this Saturday, the 9th. Is that the 9th? 9th of September. And what next then, Ian? Anything for...
Rest, a holiday.
Rest, a holiday, a trip to ABBA Voyage.
Donna's off. Are you allowed to say that?
It's not yet.
Donna's doing something good. We need to find out about. Okay. So please do spread the word, share your photos, share your videos, and come again if you can. And finally, join me please in thanking Sarah, Ian, Anton, Andrew, Donna, and